Welcome to another FitSit class. Today's class is a little bit unusual. It's not in fact the class I was intending to teach using the back of a chair. Some of my students who attended the earlier FitSit classes have had strokes, and two clients in particular I work with are left side affected strokes. So I wanted to use today's class to show you how you can still explore these movements even if your left side is not available to you. So and the thing I just wanted to say about having a stroke or even any kind of injury, if you've got an injured arm, it often acts as a sort of a weight that begins to affect your, not just your sitting posture, but all your movements and balance. So I'm hoping that this lesson will show you how you can use your right side to work your left side to bring more flexibility and movement into the spine. So for today's purposes, I'm not going to be using, so I'm mirroring my left side, so just really working with the right side. So please bring your right palm onto your knee, so just cupping the knee with the hand, and then begin just to move the hand a little bit further down the knee and then just back towards you. So it's just a small movement. You're trying just to move the right hand down the knee and then back a little bit, and you'll feel if you're managing to cup the knee with the palm of the hand, what that's doing is just beginning to introduce some movement into the wrist. So just beginning to flex and extend the wrist slightly. And then once you've just explored a few movements going forward and back, see if you can, as if you're just giving your knee a little bit of a massage, but the contact is super soft. So I'm using the roundness of the knee just to begin to explore movement in the wrist. So you really want to try and cup the knee with the palm of the hand and the heel of the hand. And then just reverse those circles. So just nice easy circles. You can perhaps begin to feel how it's just introducing this movement into the wrist. And then pause, and then bring your attention to your right elbow, and see, this time you're keeping the hand fairly still but not rigid, just seeing if you can explore making a few circles with the elbow in one direction, and then reverse the direction of those circles. And you'll feel the elbow circles are also bringing movement into the wrist joint, but also beginning to introduce movement, perhaps more movement into the area of the shoulder blade. Good, and then pause and think here of just straightening the arm as the hand lies so that the shoulder comes up to the ear, and then allow the arm to bend so the shoulder releases away from the ear. So you're just thinking of straightening the arm as it is, so the shoulder moves up towards the ear, and then just allow the elbow to release to let the shoulder to drop away from the ear. So again, just try to straighten the arm to bring the shoulder up to the ear, and then you let the elbow release to allow the shoulder to go away from the ear. And then see if you can begin to make a circle in space with the shoulder. So coming up to the ear, coming forward, trying to go back and up. And then reverse the direction of these circles. So you keep the hand where it is, but you're just exploring circles with the right shoulder. Good. And then pause, and then just return to doing a few more circles with the palm of the hand on the knee. And you'll probably feel, hopefully you'll feel, how now more of the arm is getting involved in those circles. And then reverse the direction of those circles again. So just nice, easy breathing. Good. And then pause, and then begin to slide the right palm down the front of the shin. Wherever you get to is good, and then come back up to sitting. So you're just going down towards the foot, letting the head release, and then you come back up to sitting, and then begin to explore going down the outside of the shin towards the floor a few times, just not keeping the hands super soft, and then begin to explore the inside of the shin, okay? Just going down wherever you can comfortably get is fine, even if it's just below the line of the knee, but you can see how we're beginning to bring movement into the spine and to the back. Good. Now pause and then bring your right hand over onto the left knee, and then just make a few circles with the palm of the hand on the left knee, and then just reverse the direction of those circles, thinking of how the elbow and the shoulder are part of those circles, and then begin to slide the right hand down the front of the left shin, and then you come back up to sitting. So just going down the front of the shin first of all a few times, and then begin to, if you can, go down the outside of the right leg, and sorry, the left leg, and then come back up. Good. And then begin to go down the inside of the leg. Again, wherever you get to is fine. You don't have to get near the foot or the floor, but just checking that you're breathing nice and easy as you explore these different parts of the leg. Good. And then pause and bring your right hand onto your left arm, and then just begin. So I'm just sort of squeezing a little bit the muscles of the forearm, but when I say squeeze, it's super soft, just like you're squeezing a loaf of fresh bread or something. So just going up and down the forearm a few times, and then begin to just explore the upper arm. So again, just making contact with that arm, and then you begin to come up to the shoulder and the area of the neck between the shoulder and the ear. So just sort of compressing or squeezing gently, just to try and bring a bit of circulation into that area. Good. And then bring the hand onto your chin, and just very gently move the chin a little bit to the right and to the left. So just moving the chin a little bit to the right and to the left. And then use the pads of your fingers just to make some circles around the jawline. So just going around the jawline, just nice easy circles with the fingertips, just all the way around towards the right ear. And then also begin just to massage the cheek a little bit. So just very gentle circles for the right cheek and then the left cheek. Good. And then pause and then bring the right hand to the back of the head. So I've just cupped or shaped my hand like a little claw really. So I'm now just using the fingertips and just sort of scratching up and down either side of the skull, just to wake up that area, and then begin to grab the muscles of the neck again at the back of the neck, just to sort of knead or massage that area. Good. And then pause and bring your right palm onto the left shoulder, and then begin to look down with the head, and then roll the head over towards the left shoulder, and then allow the chin to come back to the breastbone and the chin over towards the right shoulder. So you're just going in a little semicircle from one side to the other. Good. And then pause, just rest for a second, and then bring your, so for me it's my middle finger, just right onto the crown of the head. And you're trying not to press yourself down to make yourself smaller, but you're really just trying to find the crown of your head with the tip of one finger, and then just see if you can turn the head and eyes to look to the left and then to the right. So you're just trying to keep the head and eyes rotating or looking on your horizon from one direction to the other. And then pause in the center, and then keep your eyes focused on the screen and just see if you can turn the head to the right, keeping the eyes looking forward, and turn the head to the left, keeping the eyes looking forward. And as you're turning the head to the right, keeping the eyes forward, you really want to try and find the corner of your eyes, and not, if you're wearing glasses or spectacles, not just the corner of your spectacles. Good. And then release that hand back down by the side. Now, just rest for a second, and then please bring your right hand onto the top of the head. So many of you are familiar with this movement from the earlier Fitsit classes. So see if you can begin to do a movement of taking your right elbow down to the side, and then come back up. So you're looking just to take the right elbow down to the side, but see if you can feel how, as you take the elbow down, the ribs push over to the left and then come back. So in other words, if you just look for a minute, it's not this tipping over to the right. I'm allowing a shift of weight over to the left as the right elbow goes down. So just a few more, see if you can feel that if you're allowing it to happen, the ribs move to the left, straight to the left, and your right sitting bone begins to just lift a little bit away from the mat. Good. And then pause just to rest the arm for a second. Good. And then once more, just bring the right hand onto the top of the head. And again, just see if you can discover this side bending action where the ribs move over to the left, the right side of the pelvis just lifts a little bit away from your support, and you'll also perhaps notice how the right shoulder is going down as the left shoulder lifts a little bit, the whole of the left side lengthens, and then come back. Good. And then pause, just rest the arm for a moment, just to take a rest. And then see if you can begin to explore that movement without the arm on the head. So think of your ribs, the middle kind of ribs, literally pushing over to the left and then come back. So you can imagine there is a hand here on the right hand side of the chest, literally pushing the ribs immediately over to the left and then come back. Good. So again, you think of the ribs going to the left, but trying to keep the head and eyes more or less centered, and then come back. And then feel, can you also allow or focus on the lifting of the right side of the pelvis as the ribs push to the left, and then come back. So the pelvis lifts as the ribs push to the left, and then come back. And notice how the right shoulder compared to the left goes down if you're allowing it to. So there's a deep side bending on the right hand side, and therefore these ribs on the left hand side become open. So just again over to the left. Good. And then come back to centre. Okay. Just take a rest for a moment, and then see if you can once again side bend over to the left. So you'll feel the weight is on the left sit bone, the right sitting bone is light. Could you just then stay a little bit over on the left sit bone as you just move your right knee a little bit forward and a little bit back. So notice I'm not moving the foot, it's the knee going forward and back, and therefore what happens is the pelvis is turning, the spine is turning as you make that movement, and then come back to centre. So just once more, side bend over to the left, and then come back to centre. So please bring the right hand back onto the top of the head. Good. And now think of the right elbow going slightly to the side, so slightly to the right, and then it goes up and over, and then you come back. Just do sitting bones. So you think of the right elbow going to the side slightly, so it brings the weight over onto your right sit bone, and then you think of the elbow going up and over in an arc, and then you come back. Good. So to the side, up and over, and you can perhaps feel again now the ribs, if you're allowing them, are shifting over to the right, and then you come back. See if you can almost initiate this movement from the ribs pushing over to the right as the elbow goes up and over, and then come back. And you're noticing, can you sense your left sit bone becoming a little bit light on the support if you allow the ribs to shift over as the elbow goes up and over. So this time it's your left side that's shortening to transfer the weight over onto the right, and those ribs on the left hand side are this time coming closer together, if you're keeping the breath nice and easy, to shift the weight. Good. And then pause, just rest the right arm down by your side again, and then see if you can just think of the ribs pushing over to the right and then come back. So pushing the ribs over to the right and then coming back, so that you're shifting the weight over onto the right side. Notice how the left sit bone can become light, and you can think of your right shoulder going to the right and up to facilitate that movement. So even though you may not have much control over the left arm, the right shoulder, if you think of it going to the right and up, it will help to facilitate that side bending on the left hand side, and then come back. So again, once more over to the right and come back. And then see, can you stay over onto the right, and just have the thought, if possible, some people do, with left-sided strokes do have control over the legs. Just see if you can think of moving the left knee a little bit forward and a little bit back. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. And then just see, can you go once to the left, think of the ribs pushing to the right, go to the right, and then over to the left. So just going from side to side, keeping the head and eyes more or less looking on the horizon. So again, if you have had a stroke or an injury to one side, you kind of have to really work to improve the balance. And of course, one of the ways we express balance is through the mobility and flexibility of the spine and the pelvis. You can really think of it as our suspension system underneath the head. And then if you can, please walk to the back of your chair. Good. Just to take a rest. And then see, can you begin to walk to the front edge of your chair once more. But if you need to stay near the back, that's absolutely fine too. Good. Now, we've been exploring side bending. Now to look at a twist. So begin to think of taking your ribs to the right again, so that you come onto the right sit bone, and then come back. Good. And then shift the weight over onto the right sit bone again, and then see, can you bring your right hand to the left outer knee and turn the head and eyes all the way to the left, and then come back to centre. So you think of the ribs shifting over to the right. You take the right arm to the outside of the left knee, and see, can you take the head and eyes on the horizon all the way to your left, and then come back. So once more, you shift the weight over onto the right. So if nothing else, you think of the ribs shifting. Bring the right hand onto the left outer knee. Turn the shoulders, if you can, the head and eyes to the left. And then stay there, if you can, and move the head and eyes to look forward. And then move the head and eyes on the horizon to look back to the left. So you come forward with the head and eyes, and then you go back to the left with the head and eyes, and then leave that alone, come back to the middle and take a rest. And then once more, see if you can shift the weight over to the right. Bring the right hand to the left outer knee. See if you can turn maybe a little bit further with the head and eyes to the left. And then stay there and just think, can you move your eyes a little bit further to the left and then back in front of the nose. So to the left and back. And as you're turning the eyes, you may feel something in the neck muscles, in the back muscles, and then come back to centre. And then just one more time, shift the ribs over to the right, bring the right hand to the left outer knee, and then see if you can turn more towards the left on the horizon, and then come back to centre. Good. So just have a brief rest. If you are doing this as a video later on, maybe you're not able to do all the movements, but just exploring what you can do. So now, can you shift the weight over onto the left side? So think of your ribs pushing over to the left and then come back. So again, you think of the ribs moving over to the left. Notice how the right shoulder comes down as you shift the weight over onto the left. And then take hold of your left arm with your right hand and see if you can begin to turn the body to the right and then come back to centre. So you shift the weight over onto the left side and you're using your right hand to help turn the left arm to the right, and then you come back to centre. So you're shifting over, you turn to the right, and then see if you can stay there. So most of my weight is on the, and hopefully yours on your left sit bone, and then just think of the head and eyes coming forward on the horizon and then going back on the horizon. So you bring the head and eyes forward, and then you go back on the horizon, and then you bring the head and eyes forward, and then once more back, and then leave that alone and come back to centre. And then once more, can you shift the weight over to the left? So you think of again the ribs shifting over to the left. Turn once more to wherever you can comfortably turn to the right, and then stay there, and then you look as far to the right as possible. Keep there with the head and move the eyes a little bit further to the right on the horizon and back to their centre, just exploring whatever you can do, keeping the jaw nice and relaxed and the breath nice and easy, and then leave that alone and come back to centre. And then just one more time, shift the weight over and just explore where can you comfortably see on the horizon behind you. So quite a big twist for the spine, as well as the shift of the weight through the pelvis. And then just rest for a moment. So you can either rest by walking towards the back of your chair, just to take a brief rest, or and then begin to walk again towards the front edge of the chair. And then please bring your right fingertips onto the forehead. So the elbow, my fingers are more or less in the middle of the forehead, and the elbow is pointing straight forward. Just show you that from the side. And see if you can begin to think of your right elbow going a little bit forward and up. And then as you release, allow the elbow to come down towards the tummy as you look down. And then you come back to sitting upright and think of the elbow going slightly forward and up. So as you look down, you're letting the back round, the elbow coming closer to the tummy. And then you think of sitting upright and the elbow going slightly forward and up as you look up to get some extension in the spine. So just nice, easy movements. You remember from last week, we're looking to keep the shoulder above, in line with the hips, just beginning to explore this extension in the back. Good. And then pause, just rest the right hand for a moment on the thigh. And then this time, bring your right fingertips just slightly more to the left hand side of the forehead if you can. So in other words, we've just changed the angle of the elbow a little bit more to the midline. And again, think of your elbow going forward and up. And then think of rounding the back as the elbow comes down. Push the lower tummy forward as you think of the elbow going forward and up. And then you think of pulling in the tummy to help you round the back as the elbow comes down. Good. Just forward and up, and then looking down. Good. And then just rest the hand once more on the thigh. Good. And then bring the right fingertips in the middle of the forehead again, and then just see if you can just reach the elbow a little bit forward and up to the right, and come back, and then forward and up a little bit to the left, and then come back to the middle. So you're just going a little bit from one side, coming back to the middle, and then to the other side, and then you begin to see, can you turn this into a little circle with the elbow. So just allowing the ribs to move, the pelvis to move, just getting the whole of the spine to change, and then reverse the direction of these circles. So although the instruction is given in terms of the elbow making the circle, you can perhaps begin to feel, there's a pattern in the spine that if you can initiate these circles from your middle rather than the elbow pulling you forward. Just rest the arm going back down. It can be quite strong work on that shoulder. Just to rest for a second. And then please bring the weight over onto the right again. So shift the ribs over to the right. Once more, bring your right hand to the left outer knee. So and then turn to the left. Good. So you can perhaps feel, so I'm on my right sitting bone if I'm mirroring, and then begin to look down at the floor, and then see if you can look up towards the ceiling. So go carefully, looking down at the floor, rounding the back, so you feel how the weight is shifting onto the right sit bone. Push the tummy forward as you look up. So again, looking down and rounding the back, pushing the tummy forward to look up. Again, you can perhaps begin to feel it's actually your middle, if you're letting the middle participate, that's it, it's the looking up is really coming not so much from lifting the head, it's from the movement of the spine. Good. Now pause, leave that alone and come back to centre. Again, if you just need a quick rest, please take it. And then come back to the front edge of the chair, and then once more shift the weight over to the left. So you think of the ribs pushing over to the left, so you bring the weight onto your left sit bone. Take hold of your left arm with your right hand and turn once more as far as you comfortably can without strain to the right, and then look down at the floor, go carefully, begin to look up. That's it. So you're looking down at the floor, feel how the weight rolls onto the left sit bone. As you look up and push the tummy forward, the weight shifts onto the right sit bone. So again, just see if you can look down and look up. Looking down, good, and then looking up, good. And then once more looking down and looking up, good. And then leave that alone, bring yourself back to centre, and again, just allow yourself to take a brief rest. So it's very important. If I'm working with a client on their own who's had a stroke, obviously what I would be doing is adjusting these movements to the person, because often, even though the person has had a stroke, there are often other issues going on. It might be an injured shoulder or hip or something like that. So not all of these movements will be so immediately accessible if you have had a left-sided stroke, but I'd certainly encourage you to explore how you can get the spine and the ribs moving just by using your right side. So come again to the front edge of your chair, and then bring your right hand this time to the back of the head. Good. And then begin to turn the head to look towards the elbow, and then think of taking the elbow out and back to the right to get the spine to extend, and then you come back. So I think of just turning my head to look towards the elbow. Think of the elbow going to the side and up and taking it behind me. So again, my weight is on the right sit bone and the spine is arching, and then come back. So you turn the head towards the elbow. You think of the elbow going to the side, up and back in an arc to the right. And then as you come back, see if you can bring the elbow towards the opposite knee. And then you come back up to sitting. Again, take the elbow to the side, up and back, and then you think of it coming in an arc forward, so you're folding in your middle to see if you can make contact with the opposite knee. So again, you go to turn the head, go to the side, up, turn, arching the back, and then you think of the elbow coming in an arc towards the opposite knee. Good. And then that feels so nice. We'll just do it once more. So go to the side, up and back. And then you think of folding towards the opposite knee. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. And take a rest. Isn't that interesting movement? Lovely movement to do. And then come back towards the front edge of your chair. Once more, bring the right hand to the back of the head, and this time see if you can turn to your left, and then come back. So I shift a little bit over to the right hand side, so allow the ribs to shift over. Think of turning to the left, so that your right elbow is pointing straight forward, and then come back. So go to the side and round so that the elbow comes forward, and then come back and just take a rest. And then once more, bring the right hand to the back of the head. Again, think of the elbow going to the side and round, and I'll just turn on the chair so that you can see. And then think of your elbow going up slightly and then down. So you're going forward and up and then down. Forward and up, good, and then down, good. and then once more forward and up, good, and then down, and then just pause and take a rest. Good. And now just see what it's like to shift the weight onto one side and then the other. So just going from side to side. Are you able to keep the head and eyes more floating in the middle now? Good. And then pause. Take hold again of your left arm. So just holding the elbow nice and gently. Good. And then see, can you begin just to bring the weight forward, to bring the elbows onto the knee, and then come back. So I'll just show that from the side. You're just coming forward, letting the tummy out, to bring the elbows to rest onto the knee, and then you come back to centre. And then see, can you again just bring the elbows forward. Good. And then use your right palm, which is cupping the left elbow, just to see if you can move the elbow in a little circle around the knee. So again, don't force anything, but you're just seeing, can you move the elbow around the knee, and then reverse the direction of those circles. Again, just nice, easy breathing. That's it. Whatever you do is fine, even if they're minuscule circles, that's absolutely fine. And then come back to the centre. And then once more, bring yourself forward so that your elbows are resting on the knee. One way of doing this that I use with other clients is to actually have a table in front of them to bring their elbows onto the table. But if you haven't got that, this is just a good way of working. And then stay there and look down at the floor. So I'm looking at a spot just in front of my feet. So imagine there's a little dot there, and then see if you can just watch that dot as it goes around on the floor to the side of the left foot, and then come back. And then see, can you follow the dot on the floor as it goes to the right side of the right foot, come back. So you're just seeing, can you look at the floor to the left side of the left foot, and then you come back to the middle and think, can you look to the floor on the right side of the right foot, and then come back to centre, and then just come to sit upright. So just whilst you're resting, I'll just explain what that's about. If you just have a look at the screen, see, as I'm looking down and moving my head to look to one side and then to the other side, can you see what's happening to my shoulders? One shoulder, right shoulder, is coming forward as the left goes back, and then as I go and look at the floor on the other side, my left shoulder can come forward as my right goes back. And what's happening is actually a little side bending movement, if you're allowing it to, of the ribs from side to side to facilitate the turning of the head. So see again, can you come forward to rest the elbows or the forearms on the knees, and then just think of moving your right shoulder forward and back, and see if you can feel how the ribs, what's happening in the ribs to facilitate that movement. So again, whatever you can do, so notice how my head is moving a little bit from side to side as I'm looking at the screen to facilitate that movement. Good. And then come back to centre. So again, with spasticity, it can be counterproductive to try and fight the spasticity, but what we're doing is, by moving the ribs and the trunk, we're actually asking those muscles and the nervous system will cooperate if it's able to switch off some of those movements to begin to bring movement back into that shoulder joint. Once more, please take hold of your left arm if possible, and see, can you just come forward again to rest the forearms on the seat of the chair, on the knees. And now this time, could you turn the head? So I'm looking at the dot, but this time it's going round as if I wanted to see the back leg of my stool or my chair, and then I come back, and then see if you can follow the dot as it goes all the way around, as if you wanted to see your right pocket, and then come back. So again, I'll just show that from the side. It's a big side bending. It's effectively, it's this going on and this going on to facilitate that. So you're just seeing, can you look around yourself towards the left at the back, and look around yourself to the right at the back, and see if you can feel the shift through the ribs and the spine and the shoulders to facilitate that. And then please come back to rest for a moment. Take a rest at the back edge of your chair. And then once more, please come forward again to the front edge of your chair. Rest again the arms on the thighs, sort of just above the knees. And I'll just show you this from the side again. See now, can you look down as if you wanted to look at your bottom or your tummy button? So you round the back, and then think of looking forward and up to arch the back. So you're looking down, pulling in the tummy to round the back, and you think of looking forward to arch the back. So again, looking down, good, rounding the back, looking forward and arching the back, and then come back to centre to take a rest. The lady I was working with yesterday, who's had or 2 days ago, left-sided stroke, what's happened is she's had a bit of a bad back, and because in the lockdown she's not been having her normal lessons, what's happened is the left arm has created a sort of a weight in sitting, so constantly sitting with the ribs sort of pushed out to the left, and you can begin to see how that affects the shape of the spine and might introduce actually a lot of discomfort in the spine when you get back to moving. So please again take hold of the left arm, and if you can, you bring the weight forward to rest once more on the thighs. And now we've had 2 directions, side bending and rounding and arching. See if you can begin to make a circle with the middle. So you're keeping the elbows fixed, and I'll show you this from the side, but you're just doing whatever you can to get the spine and the ribs moving in a circle. So you round the back and then reverse the direction of these circles, and you perhaps begin to feel what's happening is there's a lot of really nice movement happening in the shoulder joint. Good. And then pause, please leave that alone and come back to centre. And then one more time, bring the weight forward again. And now I'm going to look down at the floor, so you'll be seeing the top of my head. And I want you to imagine there is a laser pointer coming out of the crown of your head. Laser pointer coming out of the crown of the head. So my laser pointing is directly pointing at the screen. And now I'm thinking of making a circle with my laser pointer. So I'm moving the head in a circle to try and trace that that circle with the imaginary laser pointer. So can you see getting an awful lot of movement in the shoulders, and then reverse the direction of these circles. Reverse the direction. Good. And then pause, leave it alone, and come back to centre, and just take a walk back to the back of your edge of your chair to take a rest. Good. And then please come forward once more, so again shifting weight through the ribs and the spine to come forward. Good. And then pause there, and then once more just see what can you turn to look to your left, so the right hand comes to the outer knee. Good. And then you come back, and then see can you turn to look to the right, using your right hand to assist, and then come back, and then see can you look down, looking down at the floor, rounding the back, and think of looking up to extend the spine. So again you're just looking down, good, and then looking up, good, and then come back to centre, good. So just rest the hands on the thighs. There's so much more that you can do to use the right side to work to the left. I just wanted to introduce the topic today to show you how that can be done. Hope you'll have found it worthwhile to see how that's done, and thank you very much. Enjoy your walking.